The peak of recruiting season is here, and Nebraska's coaching staff has got to work. Over the last couple weeks, they have went wild visiting guys on the East Coast, West Coast, all over. But in today's video, we're going to focus on one state that Nebraska's been recruiting hard, Texas. We're going to go over some of the top recruits from the Lone Star State that are interested in Nebraska, and I'm going to detail who they are, what they bring to the table, what's their interest in the Huskers, and then, inevitably, will Matt Rhule land their talents in a search for a top 10 recruiting class? So really quick, we have a jam-packed recruiting episode today. Make sure to smash that like button if you're excited about what Matt Rhule is doing on the recruiting trail, along with subscribing to the channel if you want to stay up to date with everything Nebraska football, Nebraska recruiting, Nebraska rumors, anything related to the Huskers this summer. I have you covered, so hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's jump right into it, talking about Nebraska recruiting, specifically what they're doing in Texas. Now, if you're not following what they've been doing on social media, like I said in the intro, they've been on the East Coast, they've been on the West Coast, going to high schools, visiting some of the guys that they've been recruiting the hardest. But recently this week, they went over to Texas to visit multiple 4-star and even 5-star prospects. So let's just dive into my number one guy that we're going to talk about in this video. And this is Michael Terry. No surprise. Let's give an update on his recruiting situation. If you're not familiar with him at all, listen, at 6'3", 210 pounds, 5-star wide receiver out of San Antonio. And this guy is the epitome of a utility knife. Plays quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive back, punter, punt returner, kick returner. He does everything for his high school, and that's something that Matt Rhule loves. I compare him a lot to Deebo Samuel, the way they use him in the NFL, just because Nebraska can use him in a multitude of ways. Recently, Nebraska visited him at his high school, and Michael Terry was also on campus for the spring game. And let's just talk about his visit in general. How did that go? Nebraska went all out. If you don't follow Nebraska football on Twitter, they made a video for him basically talking about how his visit went, and he said it exceeded all of his expectations. He's built a great connection with Matt Rhule and Garrett McGuire so far, and that was evident when the entire offensive coaching staff visited him on Wednesday at his high school. They were there to support him, talk to him, go over the recruiting strategy with him and why he should become a Husker. So he already has that very tight-knit connection with the coaching staff, and he was just thrilled with how his visit went. Now, it should be noted, when he was on campus in Lincoln, the guy he was hanging out with the most was T.J. Lateef, the newest Nebraska quarterback commit. And like I talked about in previous videos, the number one peer recruiters are those quarterback commits. And I already know that T.J. Lateef has been texting Michael Terry, has been trying to get him to come to Nebraska. So, man, that's going to be something to watch there. Michael Terry is one of the best prospects that Nebraska's had a real shot at in over a decade. This guy's the real deal. He's one of those blue chip recruits that you feel really confident about. When he gets to that next level, when he gets to college football, he's going to be an instant contributor, and he's going to be one of the best players in the country. So Michael Terry, I expect him to commit around July, maybe even late June. He's still going to be taking official visits over the summer. He has some lined up for Oregon, Texas A&M, Texas, some of his other top schools. But as of right now, I project Nebraska to land his talents. They're looking really good. So Michael Terry, that's the first guy that Nebraska's going after really hard. Let's take it to the second player, keeping it with the wide receivers. And this is Emmanuel Choice, listed at 6'4", 200 pounds, 4-star receiver. And again, you see a common theme with these wide receiver prospects. Michael Terry, 6'3", Emmanuel Choice, 6'4". Matt Rhule loves two things in his receivers. He loves height and he has speed. And Emmanuel Choice not only checks the box for that height department, he checks the box in that speed as well, runs about a 4.4, 4.5. But not only that, not only is he an absolute burner, but what really stood out when I was watching Emmanuel Choice's film is his physicality in the blocking department. In the run game, he's always pancaking guys, running guys over, setting up for his team. That's something that Matt Rhule loves. No block, no rock is the term that Nebraska fans say a lot, and Emmanuel Choice absolutely lives that. Not only that, but he is a fluid route runner. He's just the complete package, and Nebraska has been going after him very hard to try to add to this recruiting class. Now, with that being said, what's his connection with Nebraska? Now, he was recently on campus as well for the spring game, and he said that his number one priority when deciding a college is playing early. And he said that when he was at Nebraska, he was watching practice, he was watching the spring game, he was even watching games from last year. He was super impressed with Matt Rhule putting true freshmen out there, giving them opportunities, giving them reps. And he said that's going to be huge for his college career, that other college football programs, they're not doing that. They're not giving true freshmen opportunities. And that's why he believes that Nebraska is right up there in his recruiting process. So it's going to be a battle for him. He's interested in top schools like USC, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. But again, if we go back to him playing as a true freshman, we promise that he's going to get a fair opportunity, that we throw some NIL dollars in there. And if you even get Michael Terry to peer recruit him once Michael Terry hopefully commits, I expect Emmanuel Choice will also be a Nebraska Cornhusker. So looking very good in the recruitment of those two wideouts. But let's take it to the defensive side of the football, this time in the secondary out of Texas. And this guy goes by the name of Bryson Webber, 4-star cornerback, listed at 6'3", 175, top 250 player in all of America. And when you're watching him on film, you can instantly tell this guy is a track player, has that 4.4 speed, making plays all over, had 22 tackles, 2 INTs, 2 passes defended in his junior campaign. And another utility knife on defense. Tony White loves that in his secondary. Guys who not only play cornerback, but you feel comfortable putting them at safety, putting them at nickel corner, putting them even at rover. That's something that you can do here with Bryson Webber. And again, he's another very tall cornerback. Matt Rhule loves that on both sides of the football. Guys who are very tall, have that athletic ability. Bryson Webber checks the box there once again. Now, Nebraska's fighting off schools such as Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Utah for his talents. But as of right now, it's projected that the Huskers will land him. He had a crystal ball in about a month ago. So Bryson Webber's another name to watch, and just another lanky corner who we feel really good. His upside's very high. I compared him a lot to Benjamin St. Juste. Now, if you're not familiar with him at all, he was a former Minnesota Gopher cornerback, one of the best corners in the country. He was about 6'3" as well. He's very similar, very fast, very tall, can do everything, and I expect him to be just an all-around contributor for Nebraska. So those are the 3 guys that I really have my eyes on going forward for Nebraska in the Lone Star State. But let's talk about why this is important. Why is it important that Nebraska is going back and recruiting Texas at a high level? Now, Matt Rhule, as we know, is very connected with the state of Texas. He was obviously the former head coach with the Baylor Bears, and he understands that in order to have success as a program, you need to recruit that state. The best high school talent comes from Texas. That's not debatable, right? Great players come from Florida. Don't get me wrong. Great players come from California. But if you want players who are 4-star, 5-star prospects who are playing against some of the best talent in the country, you got to recruit Texas. And Matt Rhule understands that. Now, with that being said, he's also going after California and Florida hard. He's going after every single state in the country because he has no regional bias. He's trying to find that best talent, the guys who really want to be Cornhuskers. That's different than past coaches. Past coaches like Mike Riley, for example, they were too bought into one state. Scott Frost, he was too bought into one state. Matt Rhule says, hey, Texas is very important to me, but I'm also going to go after Iowa, California, Florida, Illinois, Minnesota, all over the country to find these top dogs, because at the end of the day, I have no regional bias. I have a coaching staff from the East Coast, West Coast, all over, and I'm going to find those 4-star and 5-star prospects. But Texas, Nebraska is doing a great job getting these 4 stars, and let's see if they can get some 5 stars as well. So let me know in the comment section, who is your recruit from Texas that you want the most? Is it Michael Terry? Is it perhaps a Bryson Webber, an Emmanuel Choice? Maybe somebody I didn't mention. And hey, if you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.